The Disowned Heiress Part 5. A year. It had been exactly 1 year since I walked out of the Sinclair mansion carrying nothing more than a suitcase. At the time, I thought my life had ended, looking back now. It was the first day I had truly started living for myself. Blackwell Industries had changed just as much as I had. Projects that existed only as ideas 12 months ago had become successful businesses. Our overseas expansion exceeded every expectation. Several magazines listed Blackwell Industries as the fastest-growing company in the country. Nathan hated those articles. They always used terrible photos of me. Olivia burst into laughter. You're worried about the photos? They make my hair look terrible. I looked at both of them. You two really are siblings. Nathan shrugged. We have priorities. For the first time in years, work wasn't only work, it was enjoyable. One Monday morning, the executive conference room was packed. Department heads, regional directors, investors, even members of the board. Nathan stood at the front. We've spent 6 months preparing for this acquisition. He looked toward me. Sophia, would you like to explain the final strategy? I nodded. For the next hour, every question was answered. Every concern had a solution. When the presentation ended, the chairman of the board smiled. I've attended board meetings for over 30 years. This is one of the best presentations I've ever seen. Nathan looked toward me. I told you she'd impress everyone. After the meeting, we walked back toward our offices. Nathan suddenly asked, do you ever miss it? What, Sinclair Group? I thought carefully before answering. I miss the memories, the people I thought were family, the dreams I had as a child. But I don't miss the company, Nathan nodded. I figured. That afternoon, Ryan called. I have the official notice. The investigation, it's finished. I quietly thanked him before ending the call. For several minutes, I simply sat there, not speaking, not moving. Nathan eventually knocked on my office door. You okay? I think so. You don't sound convinced. I smiled faintly. I spent months waiting for this day, and now that it's here, I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. Later that week, my lawyer handed me the official report. Every accusation against me had been dismissed. The evidence showed that I had never leaked confidential company information. I had never misused company funds. I had never committed the acts I had been accused of. Several newspapers printed corrections. Business magazines updated their earlier reports. Industry leaders quietly reached out to congratulate me. One by one, the lies disappeared. Not because I argued with them, because the truth finally caught up. As I left my lawyer's office, reporters waited outside. Microphones immediately appeared in front of me. Miss Sinclair, do you have a statement? How do you feel now that your name has been cleared? Will you return to Sinclair Group? I looked at the crowd. A year ago, I would have prepared a speech. Today, I simply smiled. I appreciate everyone who waited for the truth. As for the future, my focus isn't on returning anywhere. It's on moving forward. With that, I walked away. That single interview became the most widely shared business clip of the week. Back at Blackwell Industries, Olivia walked into my office carrying a cake. What is this? A celebration. For what? You got your reputation back. I laughed. You bought a cake for that? I buy cake for everything. Nathan entered behind her. She's not exaggerating. Olivia handed me a fork. No speeches, just eat. For the next hour, no one mentioned investigations, or newspapers, or the past. We simply talked about movies, travel, ridiculous office stories. I realized something during that conversation. Some families are given to you, others you find along the way. Weeks passed. Life settled into its usual rhythm. Meetings, reports, flights, negotiations. One evening, I stayed late to finish reviewing a proposal. The office had become almost completely empty. Nathan knocked once before walking inside. I thought you'd still be here. I had work. He placed 2 cups of coffee on my desk. We need to talk. I looked up. He wasn't joking this time. The board wants to offer you a partnership. For a moment, I thought I had misheard him. A partnership? They unanimously approved it. You'd become one of the youngest partners in the company's history. I stared at the documents. A year ago, this would have been impossible to imagine. Nathan quietly added, you've earned it. Take your time. There isn't any pressure. After he left, I remained alone in the office. The city lights reflected against the glass windows. The proposal remained open on my desk. It was everything I had worked for: respect, influence, security, yet something didn't feel complete. That night, I couldn't sleep. Instead, I drove through the city without any destination. Eventually, I found myself standing outside the small library where I used to study during university. Nothing had changed. The same old benches, the same trees, the same quiet streets. I smiled. Back then, I dreamed about becoming the CEO of Sinclair Group. Not because I loved the company, because I believed it was my responsibility. Somewhere along the way, that dream had quietly disappeared, and another had taken its place. Not inheriting an empire, building one. The following morning, I opened the notebook I had carried since I was 13. Inside were years of ideas, business plans, market research, company names I had once imagined. Most of them were childish, some were impossible, but one page caught my attention. At the top, written in neat handwriting, were the words, "Build something that people trust." No company name, no logo, just that sentence. I smiled. Maybe that had always been my real dream. I had simply been too busy following someone else's path to notice it. I closed the notebook, picked up Nathan's proposal, and walked toward his office. I finally knew what my answer would be. Nathan looked up the moment I entered his office. He didn't say anything. Instead, he glanced at the folder in my hands. "I take it you've made your decision." "I have." He leaned back in his chair. "I'm listening." I placed the partnership agreement on his desk. Then, I gently pushed it back toward him. "I'm declining." For the first time since I'd known him, Nathan looked genuinely surprised. "You do realize what you're turning down?" "I do. You'd have everything most people dream of." "I know." He remained silent. "So, why?" I walked toward the floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the city. For years, I believed success meant inheriting Sinclair Group. When that dream disappeared, I thought I had lost my future. I smiled faintly. Then Blackwell Industries gave me another one. I turned to face him. But somewhere along the way, I realized I've been building other people's dreams my entire life. Nathan didn't interrupt. "I don't want to inherit another empire. I want to build my own." For several seconds, the office was completely silent. Then, Nathan laughed, not because he found my answer amusing, because he had expected it all along. "I knew it. I was just hoping I was wrong." I smiled. "You'll manage without me?" He sighed dramatically. "I suppose I'll have to." Then he stood and extended his hand. "Congratulations." "On what?" "On finally choosing yourself." I shook his hand. "Thank you." "No," he smiled. "Thank you. You helped build this company into what it is today. I won't forget that." Later that afternoon, Olivia burst into my office without knocking. "You said no." Nathan must have told her already. "I did." She folded her arms. "I should be angry. But I know exactly why you did it." She walked over and hugged me. "I'm going to miss seeing you every day." "You'll still see me, probably." She narrowed her eyes. "Unless you become too important." "I'll try not to," she laughed. "You'd better." Before leaving that evening, Nathan called the entire executive team into the conference room. Everyone looked confused. He stood at the front. "I have an announcement." The room became quiet. "Sophia will be leaving Blackwell Industries at the end of the month." Several people looked shocked. One director immediately asked, "Did another company recruit her?" Nathan smiled. "No, she's starting her own." The silence lasted only a moment. Then, the room erupted into applause, not because they were happy I was leaving, because they understood. Every executive stood to shake my hand. Some wished me luck. Others offered their support. One elderly director smiled. "I watched you arrive here carrying the weight of the world. Today, you look lighter." "I am." The next month passed quickly. I finished every project I had started. Prepared detailed reports for my successor. Met every client personally. I wanted to leave Blackwell Industries the same way I had worked there, with professionalism. On my final day, Nathan handed me a small box. "What's this?" "A farewell gift." Inside was the pen I had admired during my first board meeting. "You noticed?" "I notice more than people think." I smiled. "I'll use it." "I expect you to." Finding an office turned out to be easier than I expected. Finding the right people was much harder. I wasn't looking for the smartest employees or the most experienced. I wanted honest people. People willing to learn, people who believed success was earned, not inherited, one by one. The team slowly came together. The office was still small, only a handful of desks. A single meeting room, an empty reception area, but every morning, it felt a little more alive. On the day the company was officially registered, I unlocked the front door before anyone else arrived. The morning sunlight poured through the windows. I walked slowly through the office, touching each desk as I passed, not because they were expensive. They weren't, not because the office was impressive. It wasn't, but because every chair, every computer, every folder had been chosen by me. There was no famous family name above the entrance, no inherited fortune waiting inside, only a dream and a team willing to chase it with me. I stood in the reception area and looked at the blank wall. Soon, my company's name would be there, not because someone had handed it to me, because I had earned it. I smiled. People often ask when a person's life truly begins. Some say it's the day they're born, others say it's the day they achieve success. I disagree. I think it begins the day they stop living for someone else's expectations. That day, for me, was today. I unlocked the office door, switched on the lights, and stepped inside, ready to write the next chapter of my life, the end.